Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I do have a yoga mat. If you don't have one, just find a place in your house that has some carpeting. Maybe you've got a rug, not one that's going to slip and slide, but maybe a rug in your living room. That's a great yoga mat for now. That will be fine. I have 2 yoga blocks. A great substitute for those would be thick books. And I have a folded blanket, which I've actually stolen from my couch behind me here. So maybe you've got one of those as well. Or a beach towel, a folded bath towel. Those are great props to have. And once you have those, let's start in the foundational pose of all poses, our mountain pose. So stand with your feet hip distance and parallel. Let's imagine scooping something up with our arms, not just our wrists, but our arms. And turn our palms away from each other and feel that that uplifts our heart. Chin parallel to the ground. Crown of our head towards the sky, feet solid into the earth. And it's here that we land. In this moment. All throughout the day, there are distractions. Incoming text messages, ringing phones, to-do lists, but this time is your time. Let's stand into that. Let's embody the idea of self-care. In fact, let's breathe into that idea. If you're able to breathe in and out through your nose, that's ideal, but I just want you to breathe. Adding a little bit of movement to enhance that awareness of breath. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. And then we simply exhale and float our arms along our sides, palms face out. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. We exhale and float our arms along our sides, adding on. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Let's keep this simple to start. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Now, not round, but hinge at your hip. Use your hands on your thighs to traction a bit of space as you inhale and uplift your heart. It's going to be tempting to uplift your chin. That's not what we want. We want to feel our spine lengthen. And then we'll exhale and hinge at our hips and fold. You can slide your hands down your thighs, even towards your shins, but once it starts to round and crumble, that's not where we want to be. So to refine, we slide our hands down and we keep a long spine. Then we will inhale, uplift our heart. Exhale, just fold back in, slide your hands wherever they land, where you can keep that spaciousness. And then we inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V, and we stand in our mountain, palms facing out. If you're not yet, locate yourself here, facing the short edge of your mat. We'll move a little bit more now. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, or your shins or your ankles, but remember our priority is a long spine. We'll slide our hands up, inhale, lift our hearts, and then exhale, slide your hands down, bend your knees as deeply as you need to situate your hands flat on your mat. Push the ground away right away as we walk to down dog. So walk your feet back and let your feet land as wide as your mat. Push into the ground so that we're not collapsed into our shoulders. There's no bend in our elbows. I'm high on my tiptoes, bending my knees, and then there's a sass that we bring to the mix. Lift your hips up and back. That combined with pushing the ground away is going to make some length happen in your front body, back body, and side body, and we want that. Let's walk forward, feet hip distance at the front edge of our mat. Inhale, slide your hands up, uplift your heart. Exhale, slide your hands down, fold but stay long, and then inhale, rise, reach. Thumbs to the sky, a V, and we stand into our mountain. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up, bend your knees deeply enough that your palms go flat, and you begin to push the ground away as you walk back. You might keep that wide as your mat stance or hip distance. Find the sass in your hips. I'm staying on the balls of my feet with my knees bent. And then let's just carefully shift forward into a plank, shoulders over wrists, and then use the hook in your tailbone to glide back to down dog. Again, slide forward, shoulders over wrists, hands spread wide. The hook in our tailbone takes us back to down dog. This time as we shift forward, shoulders over wrists, bring your knees down, so it's like you're doing a plank with a kickstand because you're doing a plank with a kickstand. We don't want to collapse in between our shoulder blades, so really press into your hands so that that area between your shoulder blades actually gets filled out. Shift a little forward and come to your belly, all the way down. Once you're on your belly, uncurl your toes, press the tops of your feet down onto your mat, and resituate your arms so that you're in Sphinx pose with your forearms parallel to the two long edges of your mat. Traction your elbows towards you. Press into the tops of your feet till your kneecaps lift so we really know we're engaged in our legs. And let's make the differentiation of not throwing our chin into the mix, but instead the more subtle shoulder blades gliding towards one another and opening up the thoracic or the shoulder blade area of our spine. Now lower down and glide your hands back next to your ribs. Curl your toes under and come to all fours. There'll be some core strength here. Find the hook in your tailbone. Let it take you to down dog. Press into your arms. Hips draw us up and back. Now walk forward. Feet come hip distance at that front edge of our mat. Glide your hands up. Slide your hands up. Inhale. Exhale. Hinge at your hips and fold. And then we inhale. Rise. Reach. Thumbs to the sky. A V. We pause with our palms facing out. Sun salutation A. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, B. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs, shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart, bend your knees as deeply as you need to get your palms flat for down dog. We walk it back. Then we shift forward, shoulders over wrists, and we put our kickstand down, our knees down. Keep pressing into the ground, so push the ground away as you lower all the way down onto your belly. Now you can leave your hands here and uncurl your toes for cobra or take the Sphinx pose that we took earlier. Then lower it down, curl your toes under, come through all fours. Let the hook in your tailbone, lift your hips up and back for down dog. And then we walk forward, feet hip distance at the front edge of our mat, hands slide up our thighs, shins, inhale. Exhale, hinge and fold back in. Then we inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V, and we stand into our mountain. When we step wide, we've got a little bit of prop housekeeping to do. So take your two blocks, situate them on either side of your mat facing a long edge. So one of the long edges will be the one that we face, the other one is behind us, and our props are not on our mat, they're off the side of our mat. Once you've got that, step wide, arms wide, and let's land our ankles underneath our wrists as a starting point for our alignment here. So ankles underneath wrists. Then we turn our right leg out so that our right foot is facing that short edge of our mat and sneak our left heel at a 45-degree angle. When we bend that right knee, if our right knee is forward of our ankle, which mine is, we need more space. So feel free to adjust the spacing. And here we are in our warrior two. First we'll be dynamic, so straighten your front leg, V-shape your arms, inhale, then bend your front knee and widen your arms, exhale. Inhale, V-shape, straight front leg, exhale, bend your front knee, arms reach wide. Inhale, and exhale, we pause. 3 moments with our arms wide, our front knee bent, our warrior two in place. Lower your arms for a moment and straighten that front leg. To be clear, this triangle pose is not a side bend. So I want us to feel our left hip lift up, a hinge at our right hip. We reach way out with our right arm and we find a block on the outside of our right foot. Now, if you're without a block, you can use your thigh, but I want you to keep a little micro bend in your knee so you're not pushing that knee into what's called hyperextension. Left thumb to the sky, as much space as we can muster between our shoulders and our ears. And you have the option to stay here in triangle. It's possible that you might feel a little bit better in that left shoulder with the back of your left hand to the small of your back. It is also possible that you take this left hand on your hip and balance this triangle on only your right leg, moving that block a foot out in front of you, lifting your left leg behind you, maybe floating your left arm up to the sky. Remember, you can stay in that triangle the whole time. I like to bring my left hand back onto my hip and step back into the triangle pose our friends are waiting for us in, and then we might float our left arm up. It's a very slow return. Look down and bend your right knee. Move that prop off to the side, come up to warrior two, and then straighten your front leg, lower your arms, turn all toes to face the long edge of your mat. Let's head to side two. Left leg turns out. Right heel slides back at a 45-degree angle. Arms wide, we bend our left knee. Probably the spacing is kind of okay, maybe not. Let's check. Vertical line from left knee to left ankle, and then we'll straighten our front leg and V-shape our arms as we inhale, and bend as we exhale, arms wide. Inhale, V-shape, arms to the sky, and then exhale, bend your front knee, arms are wide. One more time, V-shape, inhale. And then we hang out here in our warrior two, thumbs to the sky, deep bend in that front knee. We're trying not to let that left hip swing out. We want to hug that left hip underneath us. 3 moments here. We'll lower our arms and straighten our front leg. We're clear that it's not a side bend, so hinging at that left hip, we reach way out with our left hand, and we find our block on the outside of our left foot. If you're without a block, remember, micro bend. If you enjoy top arm behind your back, so the back of your right hand to the small of your back, you can do that for sure. You might stay here and simply soak in this triangle pose. It's a great place to be. Perhaps right hand on right hip, move your block about a foot out in front of that left pinky toe, and play around with floating your right leg off the ground, maybe even your right arm to the sky or not here long. Return your right hand on your hip, take a peek down so you know where you're going, and step back and join our friends in triangle pose. We'll take our right arm up, take a look down, bend your left knee. Make your way, moving your prop off your mat through a warrior two, and then we straighten that front leg and turn all toes to face the long edge of our mat. Make our way to this moment before we heel toe. Our feet are hip distance, and we feel the freedom to move around our mat and to relocate one of our blocks so that now our two blocks are on either side of our mat as we face a short edge of our mat. Finding our way back into our foundational pose, our mountain pose. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up. Inhale, lift your heart, bend your knees as deeply as you need to step back into our downward facing dog. Once you're in down dog, lift your right leg back behind you. Step your right foot forward. For many of us, probably most of us, we help it forward, and that's great. Trot your two blocks on either side of your right foot, and here we are in a lunge stance with the assist of our blocks. You might heel toe your right foot over to the right, and again, instead of swinging our right hip out to the side, imagine hugging that right hip back underneath your body. Left hand remains on your block. Right arm floats up to the sky. This is where it becomes very tempting for that hip to swing out. Let's try not to. If it does, it's not a terrible thing. And we'll make some space between our shoulders and our ears as we pause here. 3 moments together. Unwind. Your hands are on your blocks. We'll straighten our front leg as we turn our back foot flat, and let's have a conversation about how it is we're designing this. This is not a rounded straight leg. This is us just moving our leg in the direction of being straight as best we can. And again, instead of swinging it out to the side, considering hugging that right hip underneath us. I have no desire to get my hands on the ground because I know that that will just round my spine. So tall blocks are a great place to land this stretch and this spinal length. And let's soak in silence for 3 moments here. We'll twist this too. So left hand remains on your block and right arm floats up. If for some reason this doesn't feel great to you, just stay with our pyramid stretch. It's going to be tempting for your right hip to swing out. I know, me too. Let's try not to. Let's hug that right hip underneath us and take a few moments here. Unwind your right hand onto your block. Bend your right knee and spin on your back toes. Feel free to use your blocks quite a bit as we step our left foot hip distance from our right, and we'll take a chair pose, V-shape, thumbs to the sky. Now bring a prayer in front of your heart, and it might be that you stay upright and twist. It could be that you hinge at your hip, take your left elbow and hook either the outside of your right thigh or more likely the inside of your left thigh. We stay for a few moments in a chair twist. Unravel that chair twist, thumbs to the sky, stand it up and float your arms along your sides. That was a lot. Let's let it digest. Make sure that your blocks are not underfoot. Mine happen to be, so we'll make that adjustment, and then we'll flow. Inhale, V-shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale. Bend your knees as deeply as you need to place your palms flat. Keep pushing the ground away and find the hook in your tailbone as we step it back to down dog, and then your left leg lifts behind you. And you step your left foot forward, you probably help it along. Bring your 2 blocks into the mix, frame that left foot. Let's make sure that we're not swinging our left hip out. We're hugging that left hip underneath us. We're looking to create a very long spine here. We are in no rush to make our way through our sequence. We're savoring every bite and noticing every breath. That in mind, we'll keep our right hand on our block and float our left arm up to the sky. Whenever we twist, that becomes a tempting moment to swing things around. Let's think inhaling length into our spine and exhaling and rotating those right ribs towards the sky. 3 moments where we are. We'll unwind our left hand onto our block and take that same conscientious amount of time to set up our pyramid. So as we straighten our left leg, we turn our back foot flat. And then we might heel toe that left foot to the left, and we're straightening our leg, but only to the point where we're not rounding and collapsing. So it's very likely it won't get straight. That's fine. The prize is in the reach. This is all a process. We're not trying to race to any kind of a finish line. Let's appreciate the sensations here. One side might feel really different from the other. A few more moments as we are. and then we add a twist. Right hand stays on our block. Left arm floats up. We're trying not to swing our butt out. We'll think inhaling length and exhaling a little rotation through our spine. If you imagine spinning in or upper arms away from each other, that might contribute to the space between your shoulders and your legs. 3 moments here. Unwind, place your hands on your blocks, bend that left knee and spin on your back toes. We step into a hip distance chair pose, so you can use your blocks to assist. And then once we're in that hip distance chair pose, hands come into a prayer. And when we turn to the left, it could just be an upright twist. I think the majority of us, right elbow on the inside of our right thigh, perhaps right elbow on the outside of our left thigh. Once again, you're not trying to chase something that doesn't actually help the situation, so we want that hip hinge and lengthen our spine. I'm keeping my right elbow on the inside of my right thigh, and then let's stay for 2 more moments. We unravel into a chair, thumbs to the sky, and we'll stand it up and pause in our mountain. Move your blocks off the sides of your mat so that we know that we're not going to trip on them as we inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Inhale, lift your heart. Palms go flat. We step back to down dog. You might stay in down dog or shift to plank, shoulders over wrists. Bring your knees to your mat like the little kickstand. Lower to your belly. Uncurl your toes for either Sphinx or Cobra pose. Lower down, curl your toes under, and this time just come to all fours. Once you're on all fours, step your right foot next to your right hand and take your 2 blocks, stack them on top of each other, and bring your forearms onto your mat for a humble warrior moment. We're still interested in a long spine. Some of you might be better off on your hands, and you can always use your folded blanket underneath your back knee. 3 moments here. We'll come up onto our hands, straighten our right leg, and situate our blocks on either side of that right foot. Slide your right heel forward, a half split. Some of you might take it a little bit more distance between your right heel and your left knee. The same idea of hinging at our hip and allowing our spine to stay long is true even here, close to the ground. Let's give ourselves a few moments. Begin to bend your right knee. Slide your right knee next to your left. It's as simple as stepping our left foot forward, and then we'll stack our 2 blocks, or perhaps bring both hands and just stay on our hands. And a humble warrior moment, however that looks. So if you're on your forearms, you could kind of remember the Sphinx pose we were doing at the very beginning of our practice, and bring an element of that, or the same idea on your hands. A few moments here. Then we'll bring ourselves onto our hands, frame that left leg, straightening our left leg, and deciding whether or not we want to slide our left heel forward, our right knee back to any extent. A nice little stretchy soak together here. seconds. Slide that left heel back. Let your left knee join your right knee. You can take your blocks off to the side. It might be that you choose to sit upon your folded blanket for a seated, cross-legged position. Let's start by crossing our right shin in front. And instead of crossing at the ankles, walk those feet so that it's as if you're aiming your ankles underneath your knees. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V, and we turn to our right. Back of your left hand to the outside of your right thigh. Every inhale, we grow tall, and every exhale, we nudge into a little twist. We come through center and inhale, V shape. Turn to your left. Now left hand lands behind you, top or back of your right hand to the outside of your left thigh. We inhale, grow tall, and exhale, give ourselves a little twist. Unwind. Waggle your legs in front of you for a moment. Cross left shin in front of right shin. And again, instead of it just being at the ankles, let's walk them a little bit further. That's just so that we feel it more in our glutes and in those muscles around our hips. We'll place our palms up or down. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. A minute meditation. You can decide to lie down on your back and do Shavasana final meditation, or take 2 more minutes of meditation seated cross-legged with me. Both are great. It's your choice. 2 minutes starting now. Our friends who are lying down on the ground, just start to collect your knees into your chest and gently roll to one side. Come slowly up to join us in our seated meditation once again. Blink our eyes open and take our hands atop our heart for a moment of gratitude. Grateful that we're healthy enough to do this together, that we have this opportunity to do this yoga practice together. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to us doing this again together soon.